Now, did you know that on average kids spend a whopping 8,400 hours just in their school shoes?
Ooh,
so finding the right school shoe is crucial. And here with everything you need to know is podiatrist Daniel Fitzpatrick from Alternative Foot Solutions. Nice to see you.
Hi everyone, thanks for having me.
Okay, so when it comes to shoes, what do we look for? Do we necessarily need to go leather or is synthetic okay?
It's not. What it's made out of is not that big an issue in my opinion. Obviously, natural fibres are always better. There's three key things that you're looking for in a school shoe. So nice and light. You've got to remember that school kids weigh a lot less than an adult, so their shoes should reflect that. You don't have to go overboard with support. So studies tell us that your foot actually rolls through support, so you don't have to go crazy with support. And cushioning. Don't have to go overboard with cushioning. Cushioning can actually interfere with the level of proprioceptive feedback that a child gets through their foot.
What does that mean?
Their abilities, so basically the neurological feedback through your foot that helps the brain talk to the foot and know the position of the foot. So, yeah, it really, really important. They're the three big points.
Now, last year, when it comes to sizing, there's always been this tradition of buy a size, buy them a bit bigger so there's room for growth.
Yes.
Last year, we did that and I was talked into it because I never wanted to do that. And Amelia ended up with an ingrown toenail, poor thing, which was so painful because the shoe was too big and it creased and rubbed her toe for a good 6 months before we had to go and get them replaced.
I don't think that's the size of the shoe. I think it's more the type of the shoe.
There was just this much space at the top of it and it bent. Because they thought that
I'd probably go a
was going to
thumb.
grow.
I'd go a thumb in the future.
A thumb that way or that way?
Oh, sorry, that way.
That way, okay, yeah.
So at the top of the toes,
Yep. So if
put
I was
one thumb in there.
if I was fitting
Mum
this
always
shoe,
used to do too.
Yeah, so I'd go about that. But yeah, it's very rare that happens, but that must have been grossly too big.
No, it was just, they were just about half a size and I said she'll grow, but I said she just doesn't grow that quickly. I said I prefer to get a shoe that fits.
Oh, okay.
I got 2 years out of Paul's sandals.
Yeah.
That's right, like you could barely walk in them at
2 years there, 6 months to grow into them. What should we expect?
Oh, I think about 12 months. 12 months for a school shoe. And I think if you stick to, as a rule of thumb, if you're finding that you're having that difficulty, maybe cut it down just a little bit. Majority, I must admit, in my clinical experience, most people get their issues with shoes that are too small. Majority aren't to do with shoes that are too big. You'll notice that a lot of the shoes that we've got on display here today are a lot softer, so you should avoid a lot of that issue with the ingrown toenail. So they're sort of quite light, flexible, and they sort of give with the foot a lot more. So quite often that can help to alleviate a lot of those problems.
What about laces versus buckles versus Velcro?
Great question. Laces is always better because it helps to encapsulate the foot better. But obviously, if your kids are a bit younger, and there's examples up here of kindy shoes, and what I would say is that a lot of the buckles are getting better, but laces are always best.
What about the width of a child's foot? I always had really broad feet.
Yes, this is a tricky one. So it pays to go somewhere that can actually measure the width of the foot and then fit accordingly. I know like shops like Shoes and Socks, Athlete's Foot, those sorts of places are very, very good at that. But yeah, I would definitely get the width measured because that is a tricky one.
And do the kids' school shoes come in various widths?
Yes, they do. Yeah, very much so.
Great. I was going to say, Daniel, as anyone who watches the show knows, I grew up in a wooden shack built entirely from recycled timber from a burnt-down orphanage. What about hand-me-down shoes for people? Because you do go through a lot of them. You've got a couple of kids.
So I don't have any problem with that, to be really honest with you, provided that the track on the bottom is okay. I think that's fine, to be really honest with you. I don't think there's any issue with that. I think we've probably made a big thing of it over the years, and a lot of the research that's coming out is going against what we traditionally thought.
Right. So that foot imprint won't affect how the next child then walks?
I don't think so, in my opinion.
Wow.
Yeah.
What are the biggest problems you find, on average, the couple of biggest issues?
Yeah, definitely. So probably the fact that when the shoe has too much support, too much cushioning, we get kids come in and they're described as clumsy, and basically parents bring them in, we get them out of that shoe, we get them into a sort of a lighter barefoot style of shoe that gives more proprioceptive feedback or more neurological feedback, and all of a sudden they're running, walking, and activity improves, and we get feedback saying, oh, they're a different child. They're a lot more active now.
I thought clumsy was Logies in high heels after midnight.
But this is sort of what you're talking about, everything we thought we knew being flipped on its head. So, in fact, the best sort of, I guess, support is the human foot, and the shoe's just meant to sort of facilitate.
Exactly. That's where we're headed. Unless you've been advised by a podiatrist or a physio, oh, hey, your child needs extra support, and if your child is in an orthotic or something like that, there's a couple of shoes that I've got up here, and if you need any more ideas, we've got a full report on our website at alternativeFootSolutions.com.au.
Why would a child need an orthotic?
Okay, because they excessively pronate or they've got pain in their
Pronate
feet.
mean
that
going
mean?
to the left
Rolling
or right?
in, rolling
Okay.
in.
Rolling in. What's
Yeah,
And
rolling
what
out?
do you look out? What do you look
Supination.
out for in your kids?
Great question. So the clumsy thing is a really common way of describing it. If they don't like running, if they don't like walking, if they're not keen to partake with their peers,
Yeah, right.
that's a big factor.
So have you thought about making some shoes for Bernard Tomic?
I'm not that qualified, unfortunately.
What about price?
In terms of price,
sorry.
so you do comparatively get what you pay for. So I'm the first to admit that shoes are expensive, but most of the shoes here start from sort of $100, $90, even for a kidney, up to $150. So I'm the first to admit that.
For a family.
Yeah, it is. It is expensive, but unfortunately, most good quality shoes are in that price range.
All right, Daniel, thank you for joining
Thanks
us.
very much.
Thank you, mate.
Really good advice there.